Hey guys, my name is Dumsani Koyana, also known as Dumza. Mbambo no Khasu Podlenje. I'm the host for the Pull Up Snooze and Diski Podcast. No, I'm trying to grasp this thing of being a host of a podcast. I've been trying to do this podcast thing for a while now. It's just that I didn't have the guts to do it. And here I am today, hosting my very first episode. And it comes at a difficult time for me. I recently lost a friend of mine, someone who I hold dearly close to me. Uthando Zuwele, also known as Busquets. May you so rest in peace, my friend. I think your passing also kind of pushed me to do this thing. You were always one person that was not afraid to go out there and do what they love. So for me now, I think you gave me the empowerment, you gave me the strength, to do this podcasting thing. And yeah, man, here we are, guys. There's a very, very, very first episode ever. And there are a couple of people who have made it possible for me to do this thing. And I'm happy that I'm doing it. Yeah, you probably asking yourself, what is Pull Up Snooze and Diski Podcast? Well, it's a platform that I'm creating for me as an individual to come through and talk about everything that's football related. Even today, I have a guest who's going to be joining me for the first ever guest for the show. I think from today, I think he's going to be a hot man of the show. I don't want to say a friend of the show, he's going to be a hot man of the show. So for me, Prati, yes, the gentleman, he's wearing his Borussia Dortmund jersey. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
How's it?
Nah, I'm good, Hotman, I'm good. Just want everyone to welcome Mr. Tiyani Mabasa, well-known football journalist in South Africa. I'm good, Prati, I'm good, and you?
No, not so bad, man. Not so bad. Good to see you.
Yeah, very good to see you, man. It's an honor and a privilege, to have you on my very first episode, Like I was just doing it in the intro even now, telling the viewers that it has taken me a while to start the podcast until I lost a very close friend of mine last week. So I think his passing kind of gave me the oomph to like, hey, you must push, do this thing, So yeah, man. I don't know if
yeah, man, that's sad, Yeah, I struggle at times, but yeah, I do get you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. No, thanks. Yeah, man, it was painful, It's someone who's been there, and since from a Kapazeni days, so kind of do more varsity football. He's always been there. And the crazy part, he was a huge Sundown supporter. Having kind of network issues with Pati, but we're not gonna let him go. We are pushing all the way with him. Am I audible from you? Yeah, I can hear you properly now. I can hear you properly now.
Give me a minute. There are connection issues. I'm trying something else.
Okay, no. But you sound fine now.
I sound fine.
Yeah. I can even see that Borussia Dortmund. The Borussia Dortmund jersey. Yeah, but I would love to welcome you to.
If I wear something local, it's gonna be a problem.
Hey, don't tell me about that. I remember there was a press conference at it was still Absa back in sponsoring the league, and I went wearing Mzwanele Mahashi jersey. Bloemfontein Celtics.
Yeah.
I got in there and the Grootmans are like, hey, chief, this is not Cape Town, this is Joburg. We don't do those things here. we don't do those things here.
Maybe when you are better, I had my crazy moment some years ago, you know. We went to Chiefs and that day I was wearing a Paris jersey.
No way, never.
So the big guys in the industry, they come to me and say, hey, Endo, here's a, you know, just to cover up. So I covered up. You know, it was a media day, so I covered up, and nobody actually saw. Besides them, you know, nobody saw that I was actually wearing a Pirates jersey. Yeah, so sometimes we have our crazy moments, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this industry of ours is something else. You know? But before we dive into the industry and everything, I'm pretty sure many people know you as Tiyani Mabasa, Mr. Breaking News and stories and everything about football. One of the purpose of having this podcast is to give a platform where people can talk about who they are, where they're from, you know, so that the fans can understand you on a personal level. You understand, not only on what you post on social media and the stories that you cover. So, who is Tiyani Mabasa?
Tiyani Mabasa is a guy from a village called Rotterdam in Limpopo, not so far from Guyana. You know, I think sometimes, you know, when you say you're from that side, they say, oh, you're from Guyana. No, not all of us are from Guyana, you know. I'm from a village called Rotterdam. And to be honest, my friend, I hate the name with all my heart, you know. I think in this day and age, you know, a village which is dominated by Tsonga people has no business having an Afrikaans or English name, you know. As much as I love my English and Afrikaans people, no problem. But in our lifetime, you know, we must be in a position to say this name has to change and it has to reflect the people that are staying in it, you know. And even if we have to, you know, come together and have to vote for a new name, then so be it. But you can't be staying in a place and you don't even know the meaning of the name of the place. I don't know what it means. My father passed on; he never knew what it means. You know, everybody remaining in that village, nobody can tell you what it means.
Yeah,
you know, so I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah. Because me, I remember the first time
yes,
I was looking at your profile.
To come from that village. Not
okay, we lost Prati a bit there. You know? Apologies to the viewers. We were just having network issues with Prati. We'll just wait for him to pull through again, and we'll continue. You know, like what he's saying now, with the name of the village where he comes from. I think it's how many years now? 30 years into democracy, but we still have places with those names, you know. And I think it's very key. It's very important, you know, for government also to play a part so that you have a place where you belong. You know, I'm fortunate to grow up in a place whereby it's called Tanzania. As much as I don't know what the name Tanzania means or where it comes from, but at least I don't even know if it's a closer name. You know, I don't even know. But from what you're saying, you know, and I understand. You know, there was Port Elizabeth, it was changed to Kabeja. There was Grahamstown changed to Makanda. You know, it's something that the government needs to do. You know, so that the Tonga people from that area are able to relate. You know, but yeah, I mean, I understand. And I'm looking at your name. Okay, I'm not very what is it? What is it? What's this word? I'm not fluent in Tonga, but I want us to talk about your name. No, Tiyani. It means strong. You're strong. Why were you named Tiyani?
Yes, it means um, you know this name. Um, it comes from the elders at home. They were very scared, that I was not going to make it when I was born, because I was very sick when I was
Mm,
born. And in Tonga, this name means be strong. You're right, but I almost didn't make it. My grandmothers, from my dad's side and my mother's side, they had to take me to another village, which was very far, and they had to walk, and they had to take turns, carrying me on the backs until we got halfway. Halfway was is basically a river you pass through, and when they got there, they say, they were not even sure I was going to make it. In fact,
mm.
one of them said, "Listen, um, if we give this child some water and there's no reaction, then we have to." Luckily for me, when they gave me some water, and they were convinced that now, if they keep going, I can actually make it. And luckily for me, I actually made it. So yeah, so they then named me. They had to tell the people at home that, listen, um, we have to be strong for it. Hence my name, which is quite interesting, in terms of what happened there.
Yeah. That's a very interesting story. Not having access to hospitals and everything, having to cross rivers.
Mm.
It goes to show that we as a country we come so far, but we're not even close to where we're going. And yeah, with that name, be strong. I think also it serves a purpose for our industry. Our industry is not for softies. You you need to be strong. But now let's talk about
You
your
need to, yeah.
let's talk about
Now I was
your
saying you need to be
upbringing.
very strong.
Hey. You need to be strong. You need to be strong. This I I do miss it, but at some other point I don't miss it. Because it's for me it's a dog eat dog world. You know, you need to be strong.
Yeah,
You need to have the character.
yeah. Which is very unfortunate, man, because I think we should all be pulling in the same direction, because we are in some way, South African football is very much in its infancy. I always say that, while others have been around for 100 years plus, we've only been around for about 30 years.
Mm.
And we have a long way in terms of trying to catch up. And sometimes you feel like, while we should be colleagues, we actually work against each other. It's always about, I'm better than Udumsani, and the other one say I'm better than somebody else. It's always unnecessary competition, where the focus should be on what what do we do to improve South African football? What kind of reports are supposed to be out there to improve South African football? Because the more we report on it, the better for us. In a whole lot of ways. Because some things we just leave behind and we don't report on it, and that takes us backwards. I'll give you an example. Um, one of my biggest concerns is that we don't report enough on the fact that we don't have a schools football anymore. which is very sad. You know, you'll hear one person now and then report on that, and not in detail, and we don't pull together to report on the same thing. Media is a powerful tool, you know, and if we are all pulling in the same direction, I'm telling you, we can change it. But right now, you're sitting in a situation where kids don't play schools football anymore. They come out of class, they go drinking, they go smoking. You know, you end up with teenage pregnancies and a whole lot of things. You know, it's not taking us anywhere. Look at rugby. They play it. You know, at grassroots level, you can see where they're going.
That's true.
All of them are they're involved from grassroots level. Here we have academies that black kids have to pay for, and you are sitting in a situation where those kids may not necessarily be the cream of the crop. You find that the cream of the crop is actually left behind, and you wonder why you can't compete internationally. You know, you wonder why you don't have players like in the English Premiership, in La Liga, in the Bundesliga, in the top leagues in the world. It's because what you have is not the best of the best in the country. You know, so if we all pull in the same direction as the media, instead of fighting each other, instead of acting like we are better than you know. If I'm saying I'm better than somebody else, it doesn't take me anywhere. But if we can all pull together in the same direction, and it doesn't become a dog eat dog world, you know, then we can take South African football in the right direction.
Yeah. You said a mouthful, and it's very painful, especially the part where you speak about academies today. Kids have to pay, and I always say to people that I talk to about football that grassroots football today is for those who can afford. You know, I've seen that a lot when I was in Joburg. You know, going to these clubs that are playing in these LFAs. You find that a lady from Alex must pay a subscription of 2,000 rand a month, you know, just to come and play soccer. You understand? And you find an average footballer, their parents can afford, they pay, but in a way, it's taking that guy away from where he can be able to grow as a footballer. Yeah, it's understandable that clubs need to take care of themselves. They need to pay for the lights, the water, to take care of the fields and everything. They need to run. The clubs need to run themselves. But this thing of making players who cannot afford to pay subscriptions, it's taking them away. Now they go back to the township. They do the things that you were talking about. They drink alcohol, you know, unnecessary stuff. But yeah, now let's dive into your journey. You know, most football journalists, they will tell you, hey, growing up, I used to watch so and so. It's like, talk us through you growing up. Who were your favorite footballers and which club did you support? Or is it the one that you had to go and cover it up when you went to the media?
Yeah, it's never been a secret, you know, my friend, because I don't believe in that. Because we all supported a certain club, you know, and growing up, my father's team was Orlando Pirates, and it was inevitable that I was going to support Orlando Pirates, you know, and I grew up supporting Orlando Pirates, and I grew up, you know, in the era where Pirates, when I was like maybe 14, Pirates were winning the CAF Champions League. And I had a whole lot of players in that team that I admired a lot, like Bojeris Kosana, you know. Even before them, Bob Bashin Mahlango, I used to follow them. But When Pirates won the Champions League, that probably, the best team in the country at the time. I mean, Helman Kelele was there, Bo Innocent Mwango, they were there. Gavin Lane, Mark Fish, all those players. They were national team players, so it was a good period to support the Orlando Pirates at the time. But my affiliation to Pirates, I wouldn't say it's still as strong as it used to be. Right now, whether they lose or whether they win, I don't care. So it's changed a lot, So for me now, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of Orlando Pirates now. No, but I grew up supporting Orlando Pirates, yeah. And I think when we were talking earlier, we mentioned schools football. I think most of us, if there's one thing we don't talk about enough, is that those players at the time, and they went to play for Bafana Bafana, we don't ask ourselves, where did they come from? That we are not able to produce players of that caliber today. Schools football was big at the time. It was, if you listen to Dr. Kumalo talk about the rivalry with Edward Mutaleb, Soweto versus Mamelodi, it was a big thing. So the competition on the ground itself, was strong enough to build those players into, big competitors. And we don't have that today, unfortunately. And the other thing we don't have is, today we look mostly at ball players. And ball players are not the biggest. Physically, they are small. And then now you go and compete against countries that have, like your big players. Like, for example, today you can go there with, let's say, tallest big, very good. Yes, you're not going to have all these players big all over the field, but I think that's one element that our game is missing at the moment, and we need to go back and identify where it used to go right for us, because I still feel that, from a physical point of view, we need that. And people say, yeah, but being so big doesn't mean that it actually makes a big difference. For me,
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference.
it does.
Because you used to have mountains, if I may call them that. Like, even the smallest players, like, physically, you look at, like, Shoes Mushoyo, not so big, but technically, you are something else. John Mueti, even though he didn't play so much for the national team, not the biggest of players, but the rest, Phil Masinga, Linda Butelezi, Mark Fish, Lucas Radebe, all those guys. Now you compete against Senegal with Koulibaly, all those big guys, and all you have across the field is small players. And from a physical point of view, we don't have that. So I enjoyed that, man. When I was growing up, I used to say, if we go toe to toe, no problem, because we've got big players as well. And as much as small players, we also have to mix them up with some big players as well. I've seen in corners, for example, we're not going to win a corner.
Yeah, they will win everything.
How actually Banyana got beaten in the World Cup. If you go back to the game,
there's a game they were
the
leading,
game
and then
against,
it was set pieces.
yeah, if you go back to the set pieces. If you go back to the game against, was it Sweden?
I think it was Sweden. Those two ones.
Even the goalkeeper, our goalkeeper, yeah, she struggled, eh? Kaylin, Swat, she struggled, to be honest. So we need to identify that. I mean, I used to enjoy this. And I used to say, I used to be proud to our players big like that, because I knew we can compete with anyone, from a physical point of view. Our players were also fast, as much as they were big, but they were also fast. So we need to identify a lot of things. So we can go back, man, to when we started. Some of us, we used to enjoy, football in many, many ways. So yeah, that's where we come from. I miss those days. I won't lie.
We can't forget where we come from. We can't. Now, you're from Rotterdam, yeah, like you said earlier. I'm sure
No,
the professions.
Yeah. No, we can't.
The professions that were available to you guys back in the days, but where now you pass your matric, you decide to go and do journalism. How? Kanjani? Why?
I'm glad you asked me that. People get so surprised. We come from far. My father for railway. And what do you call this thing? The tracks where the railway goes through. He used to work there, picking up those heavy things. They're the ones who have to make sure that those things are in place. And my father worked there for railway. And my father, the thing is, where we come from, when you were young, as a boy, when you're about 15, 16, they will tell you at home that you're old enough to go and work. You are a man now, especially when you've been to the mountain. They will tell you that. So my father, by that age, he was already working, but working in very difficult places. And he set me down, and he said to me, life doesn't have to be this way, and he said he's going to make sure that we've got the best education so we can go into professions that have not been touched by people from our village, and he went back to school as well. When he was working, he used to attend the part-time classes, and he passed his matric when he was 36 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, 36. Wow. which I mean, you pass your matric when you're about what, 17? So yeah, no, it was more than double the age. But I got so much inspiration from that, because if he could do that, what stopped me from actually? I always said I have to be better than my father, and I was inspired by that. And you know what he did that changed my life? These prospectus from universities where you can check, the
courses and everything,
and, all those things. He came back with that one day, and he said to me, my son, I want you to go through this page by page and identify a course that actually aligns with your dreams, with what you feel is a kind of job that you can enjoy,
Yeah.
And I went through it, and in line with my subjects as well at high school. I was still in grade 9 at the time. Your standard 7 back in the day,
Mm.
and I quickly realized that I love football, man. I love football with all my heart, but I also love the writing with all my heart. So I realized
Mm.
that no, man, you know, this course journalism actually aligns with my dreams, you know, and I carefully went through it, and all the time I'll come back from school, I'll go through that that book, and I had to make sure every grade that I went to, it aligned with exactly that. And by the time I was in grade 10, I actually knew that I was going to be a journalist. And my father one day he sat me down and he said to me, for a village boy, you speak good English. You're going to make a good lawyer. And I never wanted to disagree with my dad. Uh, everything he said was correct.
Mm.
But at the back of my mind, I was like, he's not right on this one. I know where
It's not
I'm going.
happening.
Yeah. Then when I passed matric and I said I was going to study journalism, he said, "No, this guy is crazy now." I thought he was going to study law, and now he's studying something else. But he's the one who gave me the prospectus, and now he doesn't want me to go that route. It was so funny. So I went through it, and I really enjoyed that course. Always my dream. And when I started working, I started at the university. I went to Technical Pretoria, what you call Tshwane University of Technology today, TUT.
TT.
Yeah, and when I was there, um, I when I passed my second year, obviously, you go for experiential training in the third year. I was hired by the university to be one of the student assistants.
Mm.
And I took that job. Um, and the others went out to the field to work for Jacaranda FM, SABC, ETV. I remained at the university, working there. And after a few months, I knew I wanted to work for Sokalatu. That was my dream. I applied, and my application to them was not really to send a CV. My
Mm.
application to them was actually funny. I because I read Laduma from page 1 to the back page all the time.
You
I
knew
could say to
everything.
them, yeah. So I when I applied, I said to them, uh, I wrote to Peter Dutoy, and I said
The
to
big
him,
man.
yeah, and I said to him, uh, I read Laduma from page to page, and I think you are missing 1, 2, 3, and I think I'm the man to come in and fill in that void.
Yo.
uh, and when he replied, he said, if I remember well, he said something along the lines of, "It doesn't agree, but
Mm.
he's willing to give me a chance because I obviously touched his heart when I spoke about page to page and mentioned everything about Sokala Tuma. So it he knew that if he brings me on board, at least it's someone who
Who understands?
absolutely, you don't want to hire someone who doesn't even know what Goboza is. You know what I'm saying? What
True.
In touch
True.
is. It has to be someone who's very familiar with the newspaper. And
Yeah.
my job at the university was on a 1 year contract that they don't renew, because someone else from second year must come into that job. But after when I started with Latuma in March 2005, um, they after like 3 months or so, Laduma asked me about my job at the at the university, and they said no. I told them that I can't get out of it until the end of the year. He said to me, "Okay, fine, but we're opening an office in Johannesburg, and we want you there with someone else." And then it was Sipoke Kana, one of my favorite journalists. And me and him, we actually opened that office in 2006 in January, and that's when my real journey as a journalist began. Yeah, incredible.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Crazy those
This
times.
listening to your story.
If you allow me, Pradi, if I were to give advice to anybody in any job space, if you are coming through, if you are going to apply and say, things like you qualify for the job and things like that, it doesn't really hit home.
Nah.
No, it doesn't. You must identify what is it that you can contribute to that specific company. For me, that will work for any company, because at least they're dealing with someone who understands where they fit in. But people these days, they just apply and say, yeah, I'm the best man for the job. Even the next CV will say, I'm the best man for the job.
I'm a hard worker.
Specific. Yeah, I'm a hard worker. We're all hard workers, and God loves us all. So any CV can pick from there, Yeah. So I just feel like I mean, I run a football publication today, and people want to work for it, né? But you find that when you check, someone will send a DM because now it's open to everyone, and then you find that person doesn't follow you to begin with.
But how are they going to understand what the company is about?
But they don't even follow you. They don't even follow your page. Absolutely, it makes no sense. Yes, kickoff. You don't want kickoff, but you want to work for kickoff.
You don't know the culture.
It makes no sense, But quite an interesting journey. In short, when I started, I was very much in the dark. But I'm glad things have opened up, especially in rural areas where, where I come from, in that village. Today we have doctors, engineers, journalists, all those. In the years gone by, the only profession that people knew in that village was teaching. Everyone, when they left, I'm telling you, when they left matric, they'll all go to this tertiary institutions, education. Everyone wants to be a teacher. Everyone wants to be a teacher. And you know what they use, and you know what it costs? It costs lots of problems, because if you're all going out and you study education, you all want to be teachers. When you come back, there's only 3-4 spaces. You understand? But you find that 50 people, 100 people have gone to study that. When they come back, it creates an impression that there are no jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
Only 3 or 4 people from there are hired, and then the rest are sitting at home. So when they used to say, yeah, there are no jobs, I used to disagree. Even though I was young, disagree and say, but yeah, surely there won't be jobs for everybody because you're studying the same thing. As soon as we started going into other professions like journalism, like engineering, all those, and you find that people are working. People get jobs.
There's opportunities.
There are opportunities, absolutely. But at that time, everybody, they were studying teaching. I'm telling you, everybody. So a lot had to change at that time to open people's eyes and say there are other opportunities that you can actually take advantage of instead of this thing alone. You know, as much as we need teachers, but you can only have so much. So I come from a very interesting background where my mind had to work all the time, in a sense that there was no way I was going to go down the same road. I always disagreed with a whole lot of things. And maybe that's how I came out differently, you know? Because when they said there are no jobs, I said, no way, there are jobs. But you are studying the same thing and all of you are expecting to get into jobs. And it will never work like that. And we're still far behind, you know, Prabhi. We're still far behind because I see people these days, they'll go into university and study sports management, for example. Ne? And they come to me for advice after getting the qualification and say, how do I then get into the journalism world to be a journalist? I say, okay, what did you study? They say, no, I studied sports management. I said,
sports management.
I said, it's sports to you because it's journalism to you because you're thinking sports.
That's crazy, man. But it's what's happening like now in our lives. You know, we don't choose the right careers. But I think the 2000s now they're slowly changing the narrative. But now there's a question I want to ask.
Yeah.
I think if I remember back in the days, early 2017, 2018, yeah. I was still in Sokoletum, I think. So there was a guy there about Beaver Nazo. So he used to see these articles, not articles per se, but posts on social media, you know. But this guy was always breaking news. He asked me, who's in charge of this FarPost? Like, I don't know. As much as I knew who was in charge, I don't know. So you moved on from FarPost, now you're with Unplayable. Like, I want to understand, like, what was the concept behind having those publications? Because you know you've worked at Sokala Duma, you've worked at Soweto, but for me, I feel like they offered something different, you know, to what traditionally out there. So, what was the reasoning behind you starting FarPost now with Unplayable? Yeah, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of what happened, but that's a topic for another day, you know. So just
yeah, absolutely. And you know, I was at Sowetan. Honestly, it became restricted in a sense that you'll be sitting on breaking news, but you can only do so much because there's so much space in the Sowetan. And obviously, I had always had a dream to open my own publication, but the big motivation was when I realized that there's so much I can do, but I'm not able to do that. When I was at kickoff, I used to enjoy it a lot because if there's breaking news, I'll go for it immediately, you know. But if you're at Sowetan, that day you only have a few pages open, and even if you have breaking news, you know, you can't really do much about it. I realized that no, I was getting into a comfortable space where I can just do 2-3 stories a day and that's it, you know. And that's not like me. And unfortunately for me, I opened the page FarPost when I was still at the Western, but I was on the verge of leaving at the time because I knew that you know, FarPost for me was going to be my home. It took me
Mm.
over 2 years to come up with the name of FarPost. Over 2 years. I struggled, came up with lots of different names, and but the day I bumped into FarPost, I was like, that's it. This name, um, you know, it's so unique, easy to pronounce, all those kind of things. Very special name, and at the time, when I started it, there was like space in the media industry where you needed a publication that reports consistently, because what we had at the time was publications that are not really consistent. You publish one story, you see one story on a certain website at 1 o'clock, at maybe 3 o'clock, there's still that story as the top story. And I believe there's so much happening in South African football that you are able to update every 30 minutes, And that's when I came up with that publication that I wanted to be consistent, like Fabrizio of this world. You need that, Yeah, you need that, man, because there's too much happening. But how then do you, report like that when you don't have your own publication?
Yeah.
Because obviously you're taking instructions from somewhere else, and if something comes, you're not able to do it your way, And that's why you saw FarPost was a true reflection of me at the time. I always reported like that. Even at kickoff, I used to report like that. When I get a story, I monitor it quickly. I've put it together. It's gone. It's published. And when I got to Sowetan, as much as I enjoyed the job, but it felt like I was not doing enough. And when I started FarPost, it gave me that opportunity. That's why people see when a coach is fired, gone, as a headline. They see it today. That thing was started by FarPost. Gone. This guy's been fired. Short and straight to the point. Short and straight to the point. And bearing in mind, our people don't like reading. They don't like stories that are gonna
keep it short to the point. That's it.
If we go for 5 paragraphs, they don't like that. Yeah, they just want you to tell them things, in just a sentence or two. You've told them what's happening, and that's it.
That's it.
And I realized that there's that opportunity to establish a publication that can focus specifically on that. And that's why, in my view, my opinion, that's why FarPost didn't take long to actually get across and become so popular, because I understood the assignment, I understood where I needed to come in and fill in that gap. And I was glad to actually go full time into it, even though after a couple of years we had to part ways. But I'm glad I started that publication because it opened so many, opportunities for others, because others realize they can do it, as well. And not to sound proud or anything like that, or sound arrogant, but sometimes you wonder if you didn't do that, we were not gonna see others doing, because people take inspiration from somewhere else, And I mean, with all due respect, FarPost was a big eye opener for a lot of people. They realized that they can do their own things. They don't have to rely on being employed somewhere else. They're able to start their own public, and that's exactly what we needed, especially as Black people. To say
owning your own content.
Absolutely, we are also we are more than capable of doing it, and that's why when I left FarPost, didn't jump into like, let me go back and work for somebody else. No, that's why
No.
I said I'll open another one and I'll make a success of it, And I'm very
Yeah.
happy with where Unplayable is today. And I
That's it.
don't plan
It's
to,
growing. It's growing.
yeah, I don't plan to go into back into like being permanently employed somewhere else. No, I feel this is the time for young journalists to get that opportunity.
Mm.
We all journalists, we must not block their opportunities by taking jobs that otherwise belong to them. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
You know.
yeah. Right now, I'm more than happy to see a 20-year-old getting a job at Kickoff, getting a job at Sokalatuma, and other media publications, employing them on a full-time basis. I'm happy to see that. It can't be me going back into that space and taking their jobs. It can't be me.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm my
You're
own
a
boss
veteran.
now. Yeah, I'm my own boss now. I'm proud of it. If it makes 0 rand, my kids must understand. But there's no ice cream this month.
When you're having fun, there's this
Yeah.
thing that always kills it, time. Like I'm
Yes.
checking now. It's almost an hour we've been talking,
We're
and we
talking.
enjoying ourselves. And
Yeah,
before I let you
absolutely.
go, we
Mm.
have 2.5 minutes to finish it off. Let's see. I
Okay.
just want you to give me your predictions. Who's gonna win the league? Who's gonna win the MTN? Who's gonna win the
Mm.
NetBank? Who's gonna win Carling Cup? Who's getting
Yeah.
relegated? Let's go.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe.
those one.
Okay. Maybe it's easier to say Orlando Pirates for MTN8 because they seem to have found a formula to win.
Okay.
It will be
Orlando
easier.
Pirates.
The, the league, if you're looking at the team that's consistent and if they don't change much of their style, in terms of how they've played the past few seasons, it has to be Mamelodi Sundowns.
Okay.
I still believe their team is much much stronger than anybody else. Pirates come
Mm-hmm.
close, but Sundowns uh, in a league kind of form, you don't stop them. They can do it.
Okay.
I would love to see a Cape Town City win like your Carling Cup. Those are teams that I feel are run very, very well and they deserve something down the line. I'll be more than
Mm-hmm.
happy to do that, to see that. But for the NetBank Cup as well, I know they've not really done so well and there's still question marks around it. But it would be nice to see Kaiser Chiefs as well win something. They've gone over 10 seasons now without winning anything. And
Mm-hmm.
for a club like that, with their fan base, it's time for them to do something for their supporters. They can't keep going on like that. It's very sad to see what's happening there.
Okay. Relegation.
Relegation, for me, Royal AM are in trouble simply
The
because
transfer ban.
that transfer ban is killing them, man.
Mm.
If you can't sign players, you've already lost a few players like Woshon Mukhaila have left, Borzek, they've left, Momasuku, they've left. They keep, they're getting weaker every time, you know.
Mm.
And for me, I don't see anybody else uh, for automatic relegation. I only see Royal AM.
No,
Unfortunately, because
really.
of the transfer ban, yeah, it's going to kill them, man. It's going to kill them. They can't survive that 2 seasons, in a row. Something has to give somewhere else, and I think Royal AM. No, this time around, I don't see them survive.
Okay. Mr. Mawaz, Thank you, sir, man.
Yes, what's that?
Thank you for honoring the call up. When I made the call up to you, you were like, you pulled through, man. I
No, for
just
you
hope,
anytime.
yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's been a lovely chat, and I feel like we're not done. Me and you are not done.
Oh, we are not done. But if we have to carry on, no problem.
Yeah, we're not
Because
done.
there's so
I'll
there's so
bring you
much
as
to
the
cover.
Hotman of the show, where every second week or third week we come and
No
dissect
problem.
certain stuff.
No
There's certain
problem.
things I feel like we didn't touch on, but yeah, because of time limits and everything. But I didn't say this earlier on, but the DM that you sent me in 2017, I still have it screenshotted. I think it was after I followed you, and you were like, "Let me read it. Let me read it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?" I still have it. It's something that I've kept close to my heart. Because at that time I was new to the industry. I didn't know anyone. There were just a few guys that I knew. And when you sent me that DM, I was like, "Eh, Tiyani Mabasa. No ways. It can't be. This guy can be sending me a DM telling me he has read my story and he likes the interview that I did with Tamonotata. I was like, no, something wrong here. And after we kept talking to each other and
not like sometimes when you see something good happening, you have to say it. You don't just keep quiet and keep your distance. You say it because sometimes they need assurance that they're doing well. It's difficult to know when you're doing well because you don't want to be praising yourself, and you avoid that. But someone coming in and saying, "You've done well here," that's how we grow, I had to, I'll get a call from Clint Roper at Laduma, big guy at Laduma. He had been there for years, and he'll call me and he said to me, he used to have this thing. He can hear the guy talking in the interview. The interviews are typed out. But he will say to me, "I can hear this person talking in that interview." That was powerful because it shows that you've captured exactly your conversation with this person,
Yeah.
So he can hear now, he knows the players well. So he can see that this guy was talking to Dumisan here. You know what I'm saying? He would say it like that. And it used to inspire me a lot when you say that because it showed that I had actually done my work in terms of, and when you didn't do well, he will also encourage you, come to you and say, you should have done this way and that way, and then you improve from there. And I think with that guidance, I learned from Clint as well to look at up and coming journalists and say, you are in the right direction. You're going in the right direction. And some have taken it well, and they've really done well. Absolutely.
Thank you, Pretty.
Thanks, boss. No, thanks a lot, and we are going to push it. We are going to push it. I can tell you, Unplayable is going to be a part of it. Unplayable is going to push it. Thanks, boss.
Pretty, like I said a few minutes ago, thank you, Hotmani. Just for me to tell you, Nkosi, Bulela, Okul, and just a message to the viewers: please like, subscribe, and comment. We can only grow as a podcast. And for me, Dumisani Kwena, your host, I hope you don't mind.